The Mandela Effect feels like someone edited reality and forgot to update your brain. A logo is wrong, a movie line is wrong, a childhood object is wrong. And the worst part is, you are not alone. Thousands of people remember the same wrong version. For a second, that does not feel like a mistake. It feels like evidence, like the universe quietly changed a file, saved it, and hoped nobody would check the old folder. You probably have at least one memory you would defend in court, not because it is important. Maybe it is something stupid. A logo you saw as a kid. A movie line everyone repeated wrong. The color of a snack package that apparently never existed. Or a family story where you are absolutely sure your cousin fell into the pool at the barbecue, except your whole family says there was no pool, no barbecue, and that cousin was in another state. Which is rude, because your brain made the scene in full HD. So here is the uncomfortable question. What if the Mandela Effect feels like a glitch in reality because your brain is hiding a glitch of its own? What if reality did not change? What if your memory did? This is why the Mandela Effect is so addictive. It is not just one person saying, "I think I remember this wrong." It is thousands of people looking at the same thing and saying, "No, wait, I remember the other version." A logo had a detail. A character wore something. A line in a movie sounded different. A spelling looked impossible. And suddenly the internet becomes a giant confused courtroom where everyone is pointing at the past and yelling, "Objection, my childhood says otherwise." The fun explanation is that reality changed. Maybe we slipped timelines. Maybe there is another universe where the cereal mascot had sunglasses. Your favorite movie had a different line. And your uncle actually did own a trampoline shaped like a kidney. That version is exciting. It has portals. It has conspiracy maps. It has a comment section that smells faintly of panic. But the less dramatic explanation might be even stranger. Maybe the past did not change. Maybe your memory did. The problem is that memory feels like a recording. When you remember your old bedroom, it does not feel like your brain is building a scene from scraps. It feels like you are opening a file. There is the bed. There is the window. There is that weird poster you thought was cool. Because everyone must make a few interior design crimes before adulthood. The memory arrives as one thing, so we assume it is stored as one thing. But the brain is not a camera roll. It does not usually keep perfect little videos of your life in a private skull folder called Important Footage, Do Not Touch. Memory is more like a reconstruction. Your brain stores pieces, images, sounds, meanings, emotions, locations, and that weird general vibe that is somehow not a detail but still feels like proof. Then, when you remember, it pulls those pieces together and builds a version of what happened. Most of the time, this is useful. But it also means the past in your head has to be rebuilt by the same brain that once forgot why it walked into the kitchen. So, quality control is not perfect. Now here is the part that makes memory feel a little haunted. When you recall a memory, the brain can make it flexible again. Not always, not every time in some dramatic movie way. But in the right conditions, remembering can reopen the file. And once the file is open, new information can sneak in. It might be something someone says, a photo you see later, the way you feel now, or a better ending your brain quietly prefers because the original was too messy. Then the memory gets stored again, not necessarily as the original event, as the new version. That is the scary little trick. Remembering is not always playback. Sometimes it is playback, plus editing, plus save. Your brain is basically using the world's most confident autocorrect on your personal history. This is why stories become dangerous. Not dangerous like a tiger. Dangerous like a family dinner where someone says, "That is not how it happened." And suddenly dessert has witnesses. Think about a story you have told many times. At first it was messy. You were not sure where to start. You forgot small details. And you remembered the feeling more than the sequence. Then you told it again, and again, and again. The story got smoother. The boring parts disappeared. The funny part got funnier. The villain got slightly more villain-shaped. Your comeback got sharper, even if at the time you probably just said okay. Eventually, you may remember the story you practiced, not the raw event you lived. This does not mean you are lying. It means your brain likes a clean plot. And if real life does not provide one, it may politely tidy the room. The Mandela Effect works partly because many memories are not private recordings. They are social. We remember with other people. We repeat jokes, quote lines, see memes, and hear other people describe things with the confidence of a museum plaque. Then our brain stores the description next to the thing itself. After enough time, the source tag falls off. Did you see it? Did someone tell you? Did you read a post? Did your friend say it with dangerous confidence at 2 a.m.? The brain often keeps the idea and loses the receipt. That is how a wrong memory can spread. One person says the version that feels right. Another person thinks, yes, that is exactly what I remember. Then 10 people agree. Now the memory has a crowd behind it, and nothing makes a wrong memory feel more official than a group chat nodding along. But this is not only an internet trick. It can happen in tiny personal ways. Someone asks, was he angry when he said it? Later, you may remember anger more clearly. Someone says, remember when we got lost near the red house? And now there is a red house in your memory, standing there like it pays rent. A photo can do it too. You see one picture from a vacation and your brain may build extra details around it. The weather, the smell, the conversation, the shirt you wore, even though, realistically, your brain has been guessing your old outfits for years. Some of those details may be real. Some may be educated guesses wearing fake mustaches. The brain is very good at making a scene feel complete. It hates blanks. If a piece is missing, it will often fill the space with what probably belonged there, and probably can feel exactly like definitely. Emotion makes this even messier. The strongest memories are not always the most complete ones. They are often the ones with the loudest spotlight. Fear points the spotlight at danger. Embarrassment points it at your own face, because embarrassment is apparently a full-time surveillance system. Joy points it at the best part. Anger points it at the insult. So you may remember one detail with incredible force while the background quietly evaporates. This is why two honest people can walk away from the same moment with two different realities. One remembers the joke. One remembers the sting. One remembers the room being warm. One remembers the room being tense. One remembers a harmless comment. The other remembers the beginning of a grudge with a soundtrack. Both can be sincere. Both can be incomplete. Memory is not just what happened. It is what the event meant to the person recording it. This is where confidence becomes suspicious, because a memory can feel clear and still be wrong. The feeling of certainty is generated by the brain. It is not a receipt from the past. Your brain can stamp a reconstructed scene with a huge red label that says definitely happened, and you will believe it because you are inside the stamp factory. That is uncomfortable. Nobody wants to hear that their mind may be improvising. We like to think memory has a seriousness setting. Small stuff can be wrong. Big stuff must be safe. But the brain does not work like that. Important memories can be vivid, emotional, and life-shaping. But vivid does not always mean exact. A glowing memory is still a memory, not a surveillance camera. So why would the brain be built this way? Why not store everything perfectly? Honestly, because that might be less useful than it sounds. Your brain is not mainly trying to preserve the past for historians. It is trying to help you survive the next 10 seconds, the next conversation, the next decision, the next suspiciously expensive email. Memory is not just storage. It is raw material for prediction. You remember the past so you can guess what comes next. And for prediction, flexibility matters. If your memories could never update, you would have trouble learning when the world changes. You would keep old rules even after they stopped working. You would become a museum with anxiety. Instead, the brain keeps memory editable. That lets you learn. It lets you heal, reinterpret, change your mind, and tell better stories. And yes, occasionally become extremely certain about a logo that never looked that way. So maybe the Mandela Effect is not proof that the universe is glitching. Maybe it is proof that memory is social, flexible, and weirdly confident. But that does not make it boring. It makes it personal. Because the same system that makes people misremember a famous line also shapes the way you remember your childhood, your friendships, your arguments, your worst moments, and the stories you tell about who you are. Your identity is not built from perfect footage. It is built from edited scenes. Some are close to the original. Some are softened or sharpened. Some are rearranged so the person you are now can understand the person you were then. That is beautiful and slightly terrifying, which is a good summary of having a brain. The strange truth may be this: you do not carry the past like a locked box. You carry it like a draft. Every time you open it, the present is in the room with you. It asks new questions. It adds new feelings. It changes what matters. And when the file closes, you may not notice that one sentence moved, one color changed, one person looked angrier, one joke became a clue, one memory became a better story than reality ever was. So the next time you are absolutely sure something happened exactly the way you remember it, maybe hold that certainty gently. Not because your mind is broken, because your mind is alive. The past inside your head is not dead storage. It is still being edited by the person you are becoming. So what do you think? Have you ever remembered something so clearly that it felt impossible to be wrong?